Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the hidden forces that could completely reshape your retirement lifestyle, and more importantly, how you can actually protect your future. Now, if you've spent any time thinking about your golden years, you've probably got this specific magic number in your head, right? A superannuation target you're aiming for. But today, we're going to look at why that number might not mean what you think it means. We're pulling directly from some fascinating source material on the invisible threats to Australian retirement savings. And what we found is a silent force that changes literally everything about how we need to plan.
All right, Section 1, a future reality check.
So, I want you to just completely detach from today's prices for a second. Imagine a cool autumn morning in Australia, but it's the year 2040. You've worked hard, you've retired, and you're stepping out to enjoy the day. You stroll up to your favorite local cafe to grab your usual flat white, but when you look at the menu, the price tag makes you wonder if it comes with a side of gold flakes. It costs almost twice what you remember paying just a few years earlier. Later that afternoon, you pop into the supermarket for just a few everyday essentials. You walk up to the checkout, your grocery trolley isn't even half full, and yet you are staring at this unbelievable checkout total. It feels like a mistake, but it's not. That is the 2040 reality. Which brings us to a really crucial question we've got to confront right now, well before that autumn morning ever arrives. What if the biggest threat to your retirement isn't actually running out of money, but watching your money slowly, silently lose its value every single year? It's a terrifying thought, honestly, but it's one we absolutely have to address if we want to secure our future.
Moving on to Section 2, the uncomfortable retirement truth.
You know, for decades, we've been asking the wrong question. We spend all of our mental energy obsessing over how much super do I need? But here's the thing. Hitting a target balance means absolutely nothing if that balance can't buy the lifestyle you've been dreaming about anymore. The question we really need to be asking is, how much will life in Australia actually cost by the time I stop working? Because ultimately, retirement is all about sustaining the lifestyle you love. It's the weekend cafe breakfasts, taking those long road trips around Australia, going on those carefully planned overseas holidays, and yeah, even just the ordinary task of filling your fridge every week with the foods you love. None of these things magically disappear when you stop working. But what feels totally affordable today is going to feel like an absolute luxury tomorrow, because they become more expensive little by little every single year.
Let's look at Section 3, a tale of two retirees.
Okay, picture this. Imagine two hard-working Australians. They work similar jobs, earn similar salaries, and they retired at the exact same age with the exact same starting super balance. On paper, they are completely identical. But fast forward 10 years into their retirement, and the contrast is just staggering. Retiree 1 is out there enjoying weekend getaways, visiting family whenever they want, and living comfortably without constantly checking their bank account. Retiree 2, on the other hand, is cutting back on everyday essentials, delaying necessary medical treatments, and saying no to holidays while constantly worrying if their savings are actually going to last. It forces us to ask, right? How on earth can two people with the exact same financial starting point end up living such vastly different realities just a decade later? How does one completely thrive while the other barely survives? That brings us to section 4, the invisible threat. The answer has very little to do with luck. It has almost everything to do with how they handled a silent, invisible threat. A threat that doesn't knock on your door or send you a warning letter in the mail. That silent force is inflation, and it quietly changes your life one price tag at a time. It is slow and it's relentless. See, Retiree 1 prepared for this. They made sure their money grew faster than the cost of living. Retiree 2 simply saved a lump sum and hoped for the best, totally unaware their purchasing power was quietly evaporating. It's this relentless compounding creep of everyday bills. One year, your grocery bill goes up just a little bit. The next year, your electricity bill costs more. Then your insurance increases, council rates climb, fuel gets more expensive at the pump, and healthcare costs rise. Individually, none of these single changes seem all that dramatic. You might just shrug them off as a normal part of life. But together, they slowly and fundamentally reshape your entire cost of living. And that brings us to a quote that perfectly captures the reality of this situation. So many retirees echoed this exact powerful sentiment. It's not one big expense that surprised us. It was everything becoming more expensive at the same time. It's that cumulative effect across the board that catches people completely off guard. It turns what was supposed to be a relaxing retirement into a highly stressful math problem. All right, section 5, protecting your future lifestyle. Let's look at the practical steps. First, we need to pause and test this kind of uncomfortable idea. If your income literally vanished tomorrow, could your savings really sustain your current life a decade or 15 years down the line? Most people never actually test that idea. They just kind of assume things will magically work themselves out. But unfortunately, money just doesn't work that way. So the crucial point here is this first foundational rule. Principle 1. Money sitting still slowly loses its buying power. If you're just hoarding cash under a mattress or leaving it in a stagnant account, you are actively losing ground against inflation. You aren't playing it safe. You're actually guaranteeing a loss of purchasing power over time. And that brings us to principle 2. Money that's invested wisely has the opportunity to keep growing. This was Retiree 1's big secret from our earlier example. The Australians who enjoy the most comfortable retirements usually aren't the ones who earn the biggest salaries during their working years. They're the ones who understood early on that their money needed to work just as hard as they did to outpace that invisible threat. Watch how this impact snowballs over time. In year 1, the difference between sitting money and invested money is just a tiny difference in financial strategy.
It barely even registers. But by year 10, it translates into noticeably different lifestyle choices, like being able to take that trip or having to stay home. And by year 30, it results in completely transformed realities. Over decades, a seemingly small approach completely changes what your retirement looks like. Because ultimately, retirement isn't just about hitting a magic number in a bank account. True retirement is about protecting your freedom, protecting your choices, and protecting the life you've spent decades working to build. It's about ensuring that the hard work you put in today actually pays off in the security and joy you experience tomorrow. So I'll leave you with this final vital thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Are you just saving for a number, or are you investing to protect your future freedom? Think deeply about that. It's absolutely the most important question you can ask today to secure tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and